With Rizki Juniansyah having just snatched a PR 158 kilos after months away from competition, Rahmat Abdullah, his teammate, was forced to do this: snatch 159 kilos for the win, rather than go for the 161 kilos, which had so clearly been the plan. A more certain gold in the lift is of more importance than a shot at Shi Ziyong's world record in the total. An interesting look at Rahmat's order of priorities. The warm-up room was extremely interesting. The two of them, both Indonesian, both the number 1 and number 2 ranked weightlifters in the world in the 73 kilo category, sizing each other up after the best part of a year having not competed against each other. Rahmat has become the best clean and jerker in the world. But before that happened, before Rizki's injury, he was an up-and-coming superstar, the man to beat the Olympic champion Shi Ziyong. And I know that Rahmat wasn't prepared for what happened, because, well, even Rizki wasn't prepared for what he was capable of. I'd spoken with him multiple times during the days building up to this competition, and whereas Rahmat keeps his card pretty close to his chest, Rizki is an open book. He told me that after his surgery in September, he was in the hospital for a month, housebound and unable to train for the following 3 months, and then only the last month has he been training, and he's nervous to lift heavy. He said that he would feel things out here and then full send in Thailand at the last chance Olympic qualifier in April. So neither of them were prepared for a personal best from Rizki. In the clean and jerk, Rizki warmed up early. Perhaps nerves, you can see he's far more fidgety and far less calm than Rahmat, but also because when you're opening up potentially middle of the pack, it's not as simple as counting how many attempts are ahead of you and then counting that many minutes until you open up. At this level, teams might bump athletes up 5 kilos from their declared opening weight to what they actually open with. Sometimes there are multiple misses in a row, and what looks like 15 attempts out can suddenly become 8. In fact, Rizki did have to wait around 20 minutes in between first and second attempt. And so, with Rizki at moderately heavy weights, Rahmat, cool and calm as ever, started moving the barbell around, loosening back up after some meditation, centering his attention back to the task at hand after a tough snatch battle, and staying warm at the same time. These two are pretty opposite in terms of how they act. Rizki has music in his ears all the time. He's looking at the camera and giving it the thumbs up, and he's far more vocal and outward looking. Rahmat, by stark contrast, is more internally focused than any weightlifter I've ever filmed, particularly in the backroom of a competition. He doesn't actually say a word to anyone. Not his father, who is incidentally his coach, or not the other coach. Nothing. Not only that, but everything is done for him. He does nothing but lift the weight. His father decides what weight to lift, when to lift them, when to put his shoes on. They decide when he should put his knee sleeves on and they pull them up for him. They decide when he should pull his socks up, whether they should cool him down or heat him up. He literally just exists with the goal of lifting the weight, and they manage absolutely everything around him, and he has the utmost trust in them. To the extent that today, on his opening attempt snatch, he walked out as slowly as ever. He didn't look at the clock, he just walked up to the bar, timed out before he pulled it, i.e. the lift was not counted, and yet he still lifted it and walked off as though it was a make. He trusts his dad, does everything he's told, and just stays in his own head, focusing on one thing: lifting weight. I'm not even sure he ever realized it was a no lift. He just bumped up a few kilos and came out for his second attempt like nothing had ever happened. It's totally extraordinary to watch and quite captivating, especially as Rizki's polar opposite style makes it stand out even more.
180 kilos.
What no one was truly prepared for was the fact that Rizki, because of the enormous personal best snatch that he just hit, was actually in with a chance of beating Rahmat's best ever total of 352 kilos. Along with his 158 kilo PR snatch, Rizki would need 195 kilos in the clean and jerk, a weight he'd hit before on his way to becoming a junior world champion. It seems the weightlifting world has become obsessed with Rahmat versus Shiziyong, and it's understandable why. The assumption has been for a while that Rahmat would go to the Olympics and either win or battle Shiziyong if China felt it was worth sending him. But all of a sudden, it dawned on us all that it could be Rizki who goes to the Olympics. But before that could happen, and after Rizki's first 2 attempts were over, Rahmat had to open. And he did so, as always, with total technical flawlessness, and zero reduction in the speed he'd used to lift the weights in the warm-up room. Rizki's final attempt was emotional beyond belief. He was terrified to lift a massive weight like this for fear of tearing all of his stitches. He was 10 kilos more than the most he'd lifted in 6 months, but he recognized that when the iron is hot, you've got to strike, or as he put it, full send.
Rizki Juniansyah!
In the back room after this make, Rizki was emotional. He couldn't believe that even for just a few minutes he was the number 1 73-kilo lifter in the world. Not Rahmat, not Weirafon, not Shiziyong, but him, Rizki Juniansyah. But Rahmat did what Rahmat does. 202 kilos reclaimed the lead, reaffirmed his world number 1 spot, set a new world record, and left him with an attempt remaining. While he waited for his final attempt at 204 kilos, another world record, 6 kilos more than Shiziyong has ever made in a competition, it dawned on me that he'd actually been going for the world record in the total to beat Shiziyong's 364 kilos from the Olympics. 204 kilos was probably always the plan, but he'd wanted 161 kilos or 162 kilos in the snatch, not the 159 kilos that he was forced to take, the 2-kilo jump to beat Rizki. Rahmat set history on this day, 2 world records in the clean and jerk, but still not in the total. Rizki Juniansyah had returned to international weightlifting, and it looks like he has become, once again perhaps, the thorn in Rahmat's heel. So can Rahmat stay ahead? We'll find out in Thailand. Watch the full session at Weightlifting House TV, along with training sessions from these 2 athletes coming soon. Just head to the link in the description and download the app. It's available on all platforms.